So I'm so excited that she has traveled very far here today to join us here in Chicago, and she also has an amazing maker story. So without further ado, Jessica of the Nook.
I'm really nervous. All right, Brittany did an amazing job, and I just hope that I can at least somewhat be a little bit professional like her. I am shaking so bad. So I have never done public speaking before, so I printed my speech because I'm really awesome. So just bear with me if I just read it off the cards. So yes, I am Jessica. I am shaking so bad. I really like to make stuff, and I live in Oregon with my husband, who's been a tattoo artist for 12 years, and we have 2 babies. We love Oregon. We'll never leave. It's our home, and it just feels good. Stop shaking. I've loved crafts for as long as I can remember. I used to paint little ceramic houses with my Nana, who is tattooed on my arm. She's my favorite human being in the world. But she is the one who kind of helped me learn about the creative world. I remember being a little kid and painting little ceramic houses with her, and her and my aunt would paint shingle by shingle and just make it so beautiful, and I was just yes, cover the white, and it was great. And then I remember one Christmas she had got me those little sand art bottles where you can layer the colors of sand, and I remember sitting at the table with her and just probably making a humongous mess, but I just remember making stuff with her, and she was supposed to be here today, but she couldn't make it, so, but she's amazing. Just do this. When the team at Our Maker Life first approached me to speak at this event, I have to be honest, the sweats came in, and I got a huge lump in my chest, and it's one thing to talk to my phone and, at home alone, instead of talking to, real life people that can see me stand up here and shake and be really nervous. Blah, 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 blah. Ever since I accepted the offer to speak here, I knew how to write a speech, and I became so overwhelmed, and I probably changed my topic idea 17 different times, and I just could not, I was doubting myself and worried about being who you all think I probably am, and it was just very difficult to figure out what to talk about. But, you guys, I am here, and I'm standing in front of you all, and I'm shaking and sweating and peeing my pants a little bit, but I'm doing it, and that's what I want. I'm literally not reading my cards at all. It's fine. This is what I want to talk about, fear. Brittany tapped on it, and it's just, I'm glad that I get to poke in on it as well. What does the word fear mean to you? For me, I generally think of spiders and walking down the alley at night alone, or missing my airplane. That's fear, right? For all of my life, I have endured so many different kinds of fears. Some big, some small. But the one fear that has surpassed all of them is my fear to just not be enough. Sorry. My life, all 28 years of it, has been filled with so many different kinds of fear. My parents divorced when I was 8, and my mom moved me and my sister to Oregon, where we were living in Washington, and all of our family lived in a 1-mile radius, and we moved down to Oregon away from all of our family. The man she chose to move to Oregon for 2 decades ago was a local police officer at the city we moved to, and he ended up abusing me for a year and a half behind closed doors starting at 13. My mom didn't speak to me for 2 months after I told about the abuse, and chose not to spend Christmas with me 2 weeks later because she was upset that I had taken away her boyfriend. I became friends with the wrong crowd and made a lot of poor decisions, which in turn created not very fun consequences. At 18, I told my mom about moving in with my then boyfriend, and she told me that if I had moved out, I wasn't allowed back and had to pay for all of my bills. So a few months after my 18th birthday, I moved out, got my own phone plan, paid for all of my bills, and figured out how to be an adult without really ever having been shown how to be an adult. For instance, my first car was garbage, green 94 Chevy Cavalier. It was like my mom bought it off my cousin. It had way too many miles on it. But this is embarrassing. So at the time, I literally didn't even know cars, like, you had to get oils changed. Like, I didn't know cars took oil. So this one time I was driving down the highway and when I was 18, and I had gotten into the center lane so I could turn left to go home. Got in the center lane, brake in the cars, I pressed the gas to cross, and my car seized up in the middle of the freaking highway. Yes, with cars coming right at me. I remember just like leaning back and forth and screaming, just trying to get out of the lanes of traffic so I wouldn't freaking die. But God is good, and He had a plan for me. And I managed to scoot my car into this little like triangle section of the road where no cars drove. I called everyone I knew to see if they could come and help me, and no one answered their phones, no one knew where I was, and no one knew that I needed help. After I lost my car, I soon lost my job due to a lack of car, and then also had no place to live due to one chaotic night where my friend had made a really bad choice that I disagreed with, and I moved out the next day. With no car, no job, no place to call home, I found myself couch surfing for a couple weeks at various friends' homes. Once I realized that the city that I was living in no longer had anything left for me, I packed up a few of my bags and moved up north to Washington with my Nana, because she's amazing. And I found a job, but I ended up making even more poor choices. The only reason that this season ended is because my now husband, Aaron, had moved up to Seattle to try something new, and then years later he told me he moved up there because he wanted to be with me. He's cute. But he had moved up there, but he's a tattoo artist, and as a tattoo artist you need clientele, and he quickly realized that he had none in Seattle. So he had to move back to Oregon, and told me one night when we were hanging out, and I just remember crying, being like, don't leave me, like, no. I just sat there and cried and told him I didn't want him to leave. I had finally met someone who cared for me in a way that I just ached for. Aaron was the first man in a long, long time that made me feel important. After a few minutes, he asked me to move back with him, and I remember saying to him, don't say that unless you mean it, because I will do it. So 2 months later, I put in my 2 months notice, and I packed up 2 months later, and I joined him in Oregon, and I can't describe to you how much his invitation to bring me back home just saved my life in so many ways. I know some of these experiences seem a bit excessive and crazy and not the norm, but this was my normal. And these aren't even a fraction of the kinds of things that I dealt with over the years. From going through the court system for 6 years because of my pedophile stepdad pleading not guilty and walking away free, to driving a state away to see my Nana in the middle of the night because my ex-boyfriend was threatening me and my friend, and he had even put his hands around my neck, to falling in love with my tattoo artist, to becoming a new wife, a new mom, to running a business, to even having to make decisions to let people in my life go, even just for a little bit. Guys, fear could be my middle name. If I got a dime for every single time I found myself in a position where I didn't know how to get myself out of, I would be the richest pink-haired gal on the planet. However, when I was able to take a step back and look at my life, look at the life I expected to live, I just saw lies. I saw fear. Feeling so unwanted in my childhood, growing up in a small town where nearly everyone in high school got in trouble, even if you died because of making poor choices. I just did not have a lot of high expectations for myself. I never envisioned anything great with my life. But in the quiet of my mind, alone in my room, I knew I was meant for more. And you know what? You are meant for more. At the end of the day, we are all just humans trying to figure this out and what to do next. Some people are really great at making their life look completely and utterly figured out, and which really impacts our own inner self-dialogue when we sit and compare ourselves to those people who pretend to be perfect. We all have stories. We all have pain. We all are capable of allowing those thorns to affect our lives and our perspectives. I will be the first to admit there have been countless times where I have just prayed and hoped to just be somebody else. Growing up in middle school, high school, and as an adult, there's just always somebody better than you. But according to who? We can't look at people and assume that we know them at face value. You don't know how many looks me and my husband get at the grocery store because of our tattoos and piercings, and then bring in the 2 little kids, call the police. You have no idea what kinds of pains these other people are going through. Quit thinking that you're not, or that you are not enough. Quit thinking that people are better than you, and just quit thinking that you don't deserve everything in this world. You absolutely deserve all of the amazing gifts and miracles that are just waiting for you. I have wasted so much freaking time on wallowing in the fact that I'm not every other woman on the face of this planet. Why do I think I'm not good enough? Why is being me bad? Why do I have this belief that Jessica is less than somebody else? There's this silly little saying that says nobody can be a better you than you. And no matter how silly it is, it's true, plain and simple. When I just let go of trying to be this person who will blah, blah, blah. When I just let go of trying to be this person who everyone thinks, whatever, skip that sentence. I end up hiding my quirkiness and the little things that make me me. Just a heads up, I'm really embarrassing. I'm that person all the time. I've learned to wash my foot extra well because it ends up in my mouth way too often. But that's me. Some people like it and some people don't. But people will sometimes see my generally exaggerated happiness and see it as like naivety. And so they will assume that I'm just a big bubble of nothing. But the people that can spend those extra times with me and give me that safe space to share my heart, it is then that they too can see that I have a story to tell. For a long time, I felt like no one could truly know what it was like to be grateful unless they had experienced trauma. Like real, awful, dark trauma. I felt like no one could truly understand what it was like to truly appreciate life as a whole. I mean, if you lived a childhood where you were just showered with love, more than basic necessities, everything just kind of fell into, just worked out in your favor, it would be hard to see. It would just be hard to see how difficult life can be and how special it is to have experienced those good things. But then later it hit me, you don't have to experience the darkest moments in life to see the brightest. Each human has an option to think big or to think small. Thinking small keeps your eyes in front of you and makes it easy to see all of the ways life sucks and how everyone is out to get you and how nothing good ever happens for you. You get stuck in this pessimistic mindset, expecting everything to go wrong. All of your hard work will never reap any rewards. Or your small thinking comes from an innocent heart. A heart that feels like everything is always meant to happen to somebody else. Because they're smarter, they're faster, they're stronger, they're prettier, they're everything that you're not. You're happy for them and you're proud of them, but you never see yourself being that person. On the other side of the coin, people who choose to think big understand the possibility of falling. They know there are risks in their big dreams and endeavors. They know that not everyone is going to understand what they want to do, why they want to do it, and may even go out of their way to prevent you from doing them. But these people are able to lift their chin just a little bit and see the beauty above the crowd. It is scary to think big. You have to have courage, intention, self-discipline. It's a lot to put onto your own plate with everything else that's already there. But the big thinking people have the upper hand. They may risk falling further than the small thinkers, but they certainly have the opportunity to fly higher than even they imagined that they could ever fly. We cannot let fear sit in the driver's seat and dictate who we think we are and what we think we can achieve. There's so much beauty, growth, empowerment in just plain self-love. When we can step back and realize that all of these doubts and worries that we give ourselves are not our truths. These things that we tell ourselves come from a place of uncertainty and insecurity. What would happen if you just chose to take one step forward towards your dream goal? You allowed yourself to let go of these things that have always held you back, and you let yourself become vulnerable even for a moment. Maybe it's finally opening up that Etsy shop. Maybe it's you taking a break, or even letting go of people in your life who just cause pain. Or maybe you have traumas that deserve some healing. Or maybe you have built up opinions of how you feel others view you, and you've become that person, but you know deep down in your heart that that's not who you are, but you're too scared to find that out. Whatever it might be, I challenge you to just take that first step. Don't worry about step 2. Don't worry about what would happen if you did step out and nothing happens afterward. Don't do that. Don't worry about that. Just take your first step and see what happens. Take that step towards becoming who you were meant to be. For me, taking my first steps led to new first steps, which led to even newer first steps, which led to me standing here today telling you that you can do it too. Those first few steps in any direction are difficult and scary, but what's even scarier is if you never do take that step. Yes, you may be able to stay in your comfort zone a little bit longer. Yes, you may be able to not have to risk a sum of money. And yes, you may be able to prevent anything bad from ever happening. But friends, what if you took that step and it just allowed you to fly? What if you let yourself feel uncomfortable for a little while? Sure, plenty of things could go wrong, absolutely. But you know what? If you are stepping forward towards a goal, a dream for yourself that you feel passionate about, I can guarantee that you won't regret it. Do you want to know why? Because you took a step towards something for yourself. You made yourself a priority, and it feels good to recognize the things in life and make efforts to make them a reality. More than likely, after you take that first step, you'll encourage to take a second and then a third. Before you know it, you'll be standing on a stage telling everyone that you didn't believe in yourself either. Oh man. Before you know, believing it, I'm gonna fall. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous, it's all catching up with me. And staying true to who you are, who you're made to be, and all of the failures won't even matter because you will already feel 1,000 more times more successful because you took a chance on yourself. I am beyond proud of everything that I have had the privilege of doing over the last 6 years. But more important than my follower count, one day I'll do this right, my accomplishments, really anything that's visible to others, is the fact that I've learned to love myself. I've learned what it feels like to not want to be somebody else. To be happy being that awkward girl that constantly makes a fool of herself, and to be that mom that just needs to rely on the other moms to remind me that there's early release this Wednesday. I have felt so much anxiety in not being this perfect human that I always think other people are. I have had full-blown panic attacks about things that I said on my Instagram stories because it made me look so naive and stupid. But why do I do that to myself? Why do I limit myself for no reason at all? I have lived my entire life feeling as if I was a burden, and I have limited myself. I came and I feel like I have come and made people's lives more difficult. I am constantly apologizing for everyone for doing literally nothing. Oh. I'm sorry, I'm so not ready for this.
You're doing great.
Thank you. But I'm continually reminded that I don't need to be sorry. Putting myself out there on a stage to be seen is scary, so scary. It just opens up the opportunity for ridicule and judgment and allows people to possibly see me as someone who they don't think that I was. But allowing myself to let go of the fear, even momentarily, it has led to new perspectives, a new opinion of myself, a new value for myself, and a new sustainable strength that allows me to have the tools needed to continue following my dreams and pursuing my passions. I am not here to do what others tell me I should do. I am not here to follow the rules George made up 45 years ago. I am not here to let others take advantage of me or tell me what I'm incapable of doing according to their opinion. Nah, I am here to be a light, to be a voice for those who haven't found theirs yet. I am here to encourage others in this world to believe in themselves, to learn that every negative thing that was told to them is a lie. I am here to bring others to light, to use my life, my pain, my struggles, my failures, my bad choices as a resource to prove that you aren't who other people say you are. I choose to be loved, to be enough, to be worthy enough to take up space in this world. I choose to be fully, 100% unapologetically me, even with the awkward quirkiness that lends to more flushed cheeks than I care to have. To stand here today and be able to share with you my own personal experience of turning my dark life into a beautiful and successful one is something that I've always dreamed of. In high school, I remember telling my counselor and other friends that I knew one day I'd tell my story. I've always known there would be more, but it was up to me to make that happen. I know I can't make everyone happy, and I know not everyone will like me. Being a natural people pleaser, I've battled this my entire life. But one big thing I've learned is that this is impossible. Focusing all of your attention on the people who don't love you for exactly who you are only limits the time that you have to be able to focus on the things that do matter, like following after those dreams that are simply just waiting to become your reality. Fear. What does this word mean to you now? Has your opinion of the definition changed yet? Because for me, fear means there's more work to be done. I am not done becoming who I am meant to become. And friends, just go out there, take your first step, and be thankful for feeling of fear that can lead to new beginnings and changed perspectives. I believe in you. We believe in you. Now it's time for you to believe in yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Good job.